Hello, welcome to the Sigma Made Simple channel. This channel is dedicated to explaining the principles of Lean Sigma and Six Sigma to anyone with little or no knowledge but wish to make improvements to a measurable process. My name is Dennis Wells, and I was learning about these tools even before I was certified in 2008 as a Six Sigma Black Belt and a Lean Sigma Green Belt in 2009. I have acted as a Master Black Belt where I mentored many engineers for their Green Belt and Black Belt certifications. I've trained personnel, mentored interns, and trained managers on these tools. Even in semi-retirement, I continue teaching and learning as I believe in their power when applied properly. That is what I hope to show you on this channel. Lean Sigma is a toolbox that eliminates waste Six Sigma may not cover. So we're going to review what is Lean Sigma, and then we're going to go through the types of waste Lean Sigma targets that Six Sigma does not. So Lean Sigma is about getting more with what you have already. To me, Lean Sigma is the tool for the pursuit of perfection. I consider Six Sigma a tool in the Lean Sigma toolbox. If you're just beginning your journey in continuous improvement, a Lean Sigma black belt is what you should start with. It will get you the biggest bang for your buck. Once you're familiar with the DMAIC process, project charters, then go back and get your Six Sigma black belt. I would never recommend anyone pay for a green belt certification in either one. In my opinion, they're a waste of time and money. So be careful when you choose the course that you're going to take. In my case, the Lean Sigma Green Belt was offered by a company that I worked for at the time. The training was black belt level, but the certification was green belt. And I think that they did this because it made it harder to find a different higher paying job and leave the company after the certification because you didn't have a black belt certification. But you basically were trained at a black belt level. So ensure that the program that you have has a black belt certification for the black belt training. Or if you do not wish to pay a lot of money for a certification and you just want to be able to do the job, you could start with the videos on this channel. Just start with the first video that goes through uh, program management, it'll go through Lean, then Six Sigma. They're going to tell you everything you need to know for a black belt certification in Lean Sigma and Six Sigma. And while I cannot certify you, um, you can still do the job, and then you can take the course at a later date and you'll be even more ready for it then. In fact, you'll probably even have sample projects that you can use to get certified. So if there were a single perfect word to describe Lean Sigma, for me it would be clarity. Think of Lean Sigma as a toolbox used for clarifying the path in your pursuit of perfection. So what Lean Sigma provides is a clarity on what perfection is, and clarity on what areas are keeping you from obtaining perfection. For personnel, Lean Sigma provides clarity on what their role is in creating the end user product. It provides answers to the three basic questions everyone needs to be effective in an organization. And they are, what do I need to do now? What do I do when I'm done with this product? And finally, what do I need to do next? If every person in the organization knew these three things at all times, then your organization is well on its way to being the most effective it can be. For your product, Lean Sigma provides clarity on the life of your product. That is the life from when a new product is conceived to the parts being ordered to receiving the parts to manufacturing the products and then also eventually um, shipping the products out to the end user. So in summary, I would say Lean Sigma provides clarity on what perfection is today and removes opacity, which keeps you from achieving perfection in order to understand or satisfy your customers. So the wastes that Lean Sigma targets. Well, depending on where you go and who you learn from, there's going to be 7 or 8 wastes. And sometimes there are different terms used for the same waste. I'm not going to go through a lot of detail. I'm going to give you a brief example of what the most popular waste types are. And then after this, I'm going to take a cue from value stream maps and 5S, and I'm going to simplify those concepts. So let's get started on those. So underutilized talent. This can be a decision maker opting to follow their intuition rather than the data. It could be that they're just simply not seeking out the opinions of those who might have special knowledge or be closer to the opportunity. It could also be buying more expensive piece of equipment or materials, and then using them, um, not, not using them to their highest potential. For whatever reason, the potential in a person, materials, or in your equipment is not used or simply not recognized. Defects. Defects include anything like rework, recovery, scrap, any nonconformance in a product, materials, equipment, or personnel. Waiting. That's when equipment, personnel, or materials are idle, not doing anything. It's weird though, in some cases, the operator's job is actually to do nothing, but we'll talk about that when we get to value stream maps. But you do want to minimize that. You want to understand where it's at. So motion, any movement of personnel, equipment, or materials that does not add value to the final product. And now this motion is, or this is not idle. It's not idleness. But what you're doing is something that does not materially change the product, and your customer would probably rather not pay for it. And inspections are prime example of a non-value added activity. Transportation. Transportation is movement that is not needed for the manufacture of the product. Uh, moving the product around from station to station when the stations are far away as opposed to being close together, or maybe somebody's walking around getting materials. Overproduction, making more than what you need to fill current orders. Sometimes people work ahead on a line. Sometimes management might decide to build up some inventory in anticipation of an order, but that's not, both of those types of things are waste. Inventory. Inventory could include things like non-working WIP. That's something that's sitting between workstations. Nobody's really doing anything with it. It's just taking up space. Or it could also be inventory levels that are higher than what is needed to support uh, current orders. It's overprocessing. It's doing more than what is needed in the manufacture of the product. This can be in labor or materials. An example of that would be somebody is doing an extra cleaning step. Uh, that's really not needed. So it is true that these wastes are targeted by Lean Sigma and not Six Sigma, with the possible exception of defects. But however, you may notice that there are a few that appear similar, a few of these wastes that appear similar. This makes for a confusing batch of opportunities for beginners, if you ask me. So over the years, it slowly occurred to me that there are really only three areas where these wastes represent. In order to simplify this, let's take a lesson from a couple of Lean Sigma tools. In a value stream map, the term value added and not value added, they're both used to describe the steps in a process. Value added means it's something that materially changes the product, like polishing it. It's something that the customer is willing to pay for because you have to do it in order to get them the product. Non value added is something that does not add value to the product. Things like inspections, rework, anything in addition to what I would consider the perfect process is non value added. In an earlier video, we spoke about 5S, and one key concept was having what you need to do your job and nothing more. So we're now going to boil these wastes down to a couple of groups or categories. So transportation and motion are basically the same thing. There are people who will disagree with me on this, but the only real difference is motion may refer to the operator movements at a workstation or between workstations, while transportation may refer to movements of materials through your building or to your building or to your customer. But nobody is going to argue that they are both non-value added movements by the product, personnel, or equipment. So we're going to combine them into a category that we're going to call perfect movement because that's what Lean Sigma is going to uncover. Um, and these are the things where waste and as these categories could prevent you achieving perfect movement. Waiting, it's just another form of movement. It's actually just a lack of movement, which is of course non-value added activity. We're going to put that in perfect movement category as well. And I would say that perfect movement is the first category that Lean Sigma clarifies. I would define perfect movement as any non-value added movement, including product, personnel, materials, and equipment. Let's take a cue from 5S, where you only have what you need and nothing more. So anything in the building that is not needed for current orders is more than what you need and is getting in the way of your pursuit of perfection. And that's anything actually not only in the building, but in your organization. So overproduction. Overproduction impacts what I would say is a second category, which is your perfect inventory. But there are other wastes related to the pursuit of perfect inventory. And if you notice, the word inventory is in the name, perfect inventory. So we're obviously going to add inventory to this uh, category. Overprocessing. Overprocessing also impacts the perfect inventory. It could mean using more inventory than needed or converting raw materials into finished goods inventory before there's an order. Anything that um, that is a movement that is not actually needed to support current orders. So far, we have perfect movement, perfect inventory, and we're left with two waste types, underutilized talent and defects. So underutilized talent is unrecognized or unused potential in personnel, equipment, or materials. For personnel, underutilized talent has a lot to do with management and leadership of groups of personnel. I want you to remember this. Managers maintain, leaders make change. It's a very important concept. Keep saying that to yourself when you're going through these processes. Managers maintain, leaders make change. Both managers and leaders are very important to any organization. Having the ability to do both well is uncommon, but not impossible. Leaders, of course, make change, and that is good when it is a data-driven decision. Lean Sigma will indicate if there's an unwanted trend and if there's a need for a leader. Without Lean Sigma showing the opportunity for improvement, a manager will tend to manage a downward trend until a natural bottom is hit, or they realize they need to take on the leadership role, or somebody above them swaps them out with a leader who has a vision. So you need managers as much as leaders, and especially when you want to collect data to see where you are and detect a change in your metric. Green belts should be kind of like the managers of the team. Black belts are kind of like the leaders. So leaders need Lean Sigma to provide clarity and remove the opacity so they can develop a vision on what needs to change. Lean Sigma is a tool for leaders to use to clarify where you are and what needs to change. Lean Sigma is also a tool for managers so they can detect when they need to be a leader or bring change. Underutilized talent refers to personnel, but it could also refer to a piece of equipment, materials, or anything that's not fully utilized to its fullest potential. We're going to call this category perfect process. So lastly, I would add defects to the perfect process category. Defects, of course, are a result of a process that was unsuccessful at producing conforming product or the desired outcome. So we have three main areas of waste being perfect process, perfect movement, perfect inventory. All products are a result of many processes which could have waste. All products must move through processes to get to their end user. And all products need some sort of inventory somewhere to move through the processes to reach the end user. So Lean Sigma clarifies what prevents you from achieving the perfect process, the perfect movement, and the perfect inventory. The next video will be on Lean Sigma tools. It's going to briefly show you an overview of common tools and what they can do, and then following videos are going to explain each tool in greater detail. So, what is Lean Sigma? Lean Sigma is a toolbox that gets you more with what you already have. If you found this video useful, like it, subscribe to the channel, and share it with anyone else who may find it useful. If you didn't find this video useful, then subscribe in the hope that an upcoming video will be useful. Eventually, we'll go through projects with Lean Sigma, Six Sigma tools, as well as the tools needed to support them. Remember, managers maintain, leaders make change. Be the leader when you need to be the manager when you need to be. Use Lean Sigma to tell you which one is needed. I'll see you in the next video.